Gary YouTube from Cultaholic.com, and welcome to the latest thrilling installment of these tier ranking malarkeys, where this time I'm joined by yet another Gary YouTube who appears to have the head and the shoulders and the NASA uniform of Sam Driver. Sam, Gary, why did you start working for NASA?
I just started picking up shifts on the weekend. I'm hoping to get up to the ISS pretty soon. Looks easy. But
you should use your powers at NASA to rocket strap a few of your favourite wrestlers.
I was going to say I should use my massive science brain for NASA to work out why my internet keeps dropping out, which is something I need to mention. If it happens, it's happened a couple of times on these videos before. We'll try and stop and crack on, but if Ross just talks over and I reconnect behind him, we'll just leave it in. But yeah. Sorry, Gary, not Ross, Gary.
Bloody technical difficulties, eh? You can never, ever get away from them. But we're going to discuss today, Sam, 40 different attires. I'm going to stretch this to the people who were commenting last week on our tier video with Jen saying, this isn't a complete list of all the catchphrases in professional wrestling history. Where's my favourite catchphrase? It's a random assortment. We're not going to cover them all in one video. We can come back and do catchphrases again with the ones we didn't cover last week. And the same goes for here with attires. We have 40 different attires. We're going to take a look at a sort of a career retrospective in terms of attires for a couple of our favourite WWE superstars. But yes, what our favourite lads wear to the ring. That's what we're talking about today. A random assortment. Not all of them. Don't be offended if your favourite is not here.
One thing I've just thought of there when you mentioned quotes and how we can go back to it, you could pretty much do an entire video just for Jericho's catchphrases.
Exactly.
That's an easy one. There you go. Boom,
yeah,
come in later.
It was just people getting upset last week, said, oh, this isn't a complete list because such and such isn't here. We'll come back at a later date, don't worry, man.
Yeah,
we've got you covered.
Chill.
We've got you covered,
fine.
man. We're Gary YouTube. Yeah. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hit the intro, please, Sam. Could you hit the intro button there next
Yeah,
to you, buddy?
I will. I'll hit this and hopefully nothing will happen.
So just in case you have not been here before, we've got 40 attires from the past of WWE. We're going to put them into several tiers, ranging from the best, lovely, all right, just about bearable, and get in the bin. And we're starting off with one of those aforementioned career retrospective thingies. We have 6 different versions of Kane, my favourite, and I'm sure one of your favourites too, Sam. And we're kicking things off with debut Kane, 1997, Bad Blood in Your House, that one with the one arm out, the best mask he ever had in my opinion, the red suit. On paper, imagine just looking at that on paper back in the day, you'd think, bloody hell, that looks goofy as anything, but no, it is arguably one of, if not the most iconic attire in professional wrestling history.
Well, apparently Kane was supposed to be a one and done. Like, it was supposed to just be a one-time thing, that was it. Maybe there'd be a match, but there'd be nothing more. But it wasn't until Vince saw it all out there, red lights, everything, ripping the door cage off, that he went, nah, this has to stay. And that's the thing with, because Kane, like, before you knew anything about him here, you just knew he was the Undertaker's brother, and you knew little tidbits, but it was just, there was nobody that looks like him. Why has he only got one arm out? What's he hiding? Why has he got these big gloves? The domineering size of him, ripping the cage off. It's iconic, and as he said, I think that mask's the best. The big sort of angular Kane mask
is the best one. It's just the emotionlessness of it all. That was what was terrifying for me.
It looks clinical, and that's the whole thing, was he was supposed to be burnt horribly, and so it would be like a clinical style mask. In reality, it was made by an S&M company in New York, but...
Yeah, and Brucey P owns it to this day. If I could have one bit of wrestling history, I would want that Kane debut mask. I'll fight Bruce one day.
I'm sure I saw a picture of it as well, though, and he's just got it like propped up on a shelf. He doesn't have it even like on a head or anything. It just looks cool. It's just like in the corner, just there. It's class.
But I think I watched, is it Photographs or whatever that network show is called, where they sit there and look at the photographs and whatnot. And Kane was explaining like the psychology as to why this horribly... what's the word? He'd gone through tragedy in his life, the house fire and all that, why he would dress like this, and it was because in his own psyche he thought himself to be a superhero, which explains why he had that cape once upon a time at the house shows. I'm happy the cape didn't make it to TV.
No, I loved that shot. I love that shot with the massive cape. Like, have you seen the original? Like, anybody watching this, if you go on WWE.com, there's a gallery of original superstar designs. It gets bigger. Like, I think they re-upload it and add more and more. But you've got original concept drawings for Mankind. Back when it was like Mason the Mutilator. You've got like Goldust, who was going to look like David Bowie, and then there's Kane. Kane was going to have long ginger hair and a beard and this massive cape. And I think the cape was one of the only things that didn't really survive. But it was just, that shot of him at the house show is just perfect.
Yeah. But we have to put this in the best, don't we?
Yeah, it has to be. There was nothing up to that point that looked like him. I'd say maybe the Sultan. The Sultan was the closest thing to something where it was like, whoa, this is a bit sinister looking. Like, because his mouth was covered and everything. But Kane, it's just, he's like a robot. There's nothing there. And that's the best part. You can't ever work out his motivation because it's blank.
And then we're moving on. I think it was the year 2000, his big return after a big injury. He flip reverses it, does a blazing squad. I'll never forget, I had a pal when I was young who got this action figure, the Kane reverse attire, and I was like, well, the colours are back to front, you've got a broken toy, is that some sort of knockoff, you cheap bastard? And he was
Have
like,
you been going to Poundland? Have you been shopping in stores?
You haven't got Sky, you peasant. You haven't seen Kane do his big return with Paul Bearer in the red jacket. So Kane's flip reverse retire, Sam, is it better than the original? Because I think it might be.
It's a lot more refined. Is this the one where it's sort of clear? It's like mesh?
It's like nylon tight, meshy
yeah, but
stuff.
Some of the flames are like see-through, aren't they, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's really cool. It's like an ultimate refinement of this first Kane, but part of me thinks that sort of homemade charm of that first Kane one makes it slightly better. It's as if Kane had sat there and made it himself. Like, and I think that, again, leans into that whole, he thinks he's a superhero type thing. That works really well.
I don't want to think about Kane sat there in a sewing machine.
No, but like if you were to like make Kane into like a horror movie villain, that's the type of scene you'd maybe see in like a backstory. But like, it's still, I mean, you can't complain because it's just a colour switch pretty much with just some tighter, different material. And Kane looks a hell of a lot more buff. But
that was 99-2000 Kane when he proper leaned out. Whoa,
massive!
What a specimen!
It's pretty hard to determine. I'd say personally the first one just pips it for us, but this one's still in the best because
it's still in the best,
in a mask. Kane in a proper Kane mask.
Yeah. And then we move on to sort of Brothers of Destruction era Kane, where he gets rid of the one sleeve that's covering, he goes for a little vest thingy, more skin was exposed, a little bit of the mystery behind Kane was lost, because obviously we're thinking, bloody hell, he's got his body covered up, there's going to be burns from head to toe, apart from that one arm that he must have had stuck out the fire like that, while the rest of his body
that's why he was waving for help.
Help, I'm in here! That's it. So then we have, this is when Kane was at his absolute biggest though. What a terrifying man he was in terms of muscles.
This is
What's your thoughts on the straps?
Is this like 0102?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, this is probably peak, like, me being completely and utterly obsessed with wrestling. It was like the only thing I could talk about as a kid. This was like peak time there. And this is the Kane I think I'll remember most vividly, because like I was such a fan at that time that I was like digesting everything and it was all new. But at the same time, it's not got that charm of the first one, and like by removing that arm, it's sort of like, well, he's not burnt, and then we're eventually going to find out he's not burnt at all. They are emotional scars, but I'd say it's still up there, but it's not a patch on the first two.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely stepped down from the first two. Obviously, the sight of Undertaker and Kane being stood next to each other as the Brothers of Destruction is one hell of an image anyway. But just in terms of Kane's attire, I think it is a definite step down from the first two. Strips he had. I don't know what more you say about that. But I guess when you are Kane, that's a thing we might discuss on a later Attires tier ranking, is when you got people like Ryback being forced to wear a singlet and covering up all of his muscles. Kane covering up all of his muscles.
Yeah.
He might have been like, Vince, I work bloody hard on my attire, my physique I do. I want my guns out there to show.
I'd say it was probably Vince, because Vince is like a body guy, right? Vince was probably like, what are you covering that up for? Get him out. Like,
get them out.
Because like you can still say like he's scarred and everything. He's mostly covered. His face is covered, and the face is the big thing. the face was like, what does he look like under there? And before the internet, it was like rumour and innuendo and speculation. And as long as the face is still covered, I think it works. But he's got that cute little glove on that's rolled down.
Coal miner's glove. I don't know. Jake the Snake used to wear it when he was handling snakes, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what the tie-in is there with Kane and obviously the early Undertaker.
Cold, fire.
Yeah. Aye. There was that one picture from SummerSlam 2000 where Taker takes his mask off and Glenn's got his hair in his face and he's bleeding. That was the only picture I saw of Kane's face until he unmasked.
I think I saw one of him like sideways on getting off like a tour bus, and it was like you saw like this much of his face, and it was like, ooh.
That was the thing. I used to love it when you saw footage of like them travelling back in the day. Kane would always turn up to arenas wearing a woolly balaclava instead of his mask. I thought that was fantastic, He
great.
looked terrifying.
Yeah.
So then we move on to the slow chemical era of Kane, 2002, 2003 sort of time. We've still got the double straps going on, but this time we've got all sorts of belt buckles and nylon see-through material and then the mask, most importantly. We're stripping Kane off bit by bit by bit. His mouth was exposed. He had a little goatee on show. What were your thoughts on that one?
I mean, it must be horrible. Because I've, we've all like funnily put on lucha masks and stuff in videos. We bought some for the office that were like decoration. And when La Parka mask turned up, we were like, yeah, like. It's hard to breathe in those things just sat at a computer, like actually having to do physical exercise and throwing people around and worrying about their safety and remembering a match and acting it and getting all your stuff in. That's got to be horrible to do with this covered and only this tiny little like coin slot to breathe out of. So I understand why they did it, but this is like frat bro Kane. Look at him.
This is when like chicks take the mask. I'm here, but my mouth's out now.
But that being said, I like these straps and everything. I think it adds into the like weird horror-y vibe you get from him. It's a bit like medical. It's a little bit clinical. They're sort of like tying it straps to like tie him down to stop him hurting himself in like a mental hospital or something. But that's cool. I'm not really a fan of the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it might just be all right.
I think it's all right.
The big thing about early Kane for me, especially when I was a kid, was the emotionlessness of the mask
and now
how scary it was. And no matter how high he jumped in the air, or no matter how many times he lifted viscera, it was just the same expression, and it was terrifying. But what I found quite interesting about this is how this version of Kane, the slow chemical version, I'm calling him, he never had any variations of his attire, because obviously with the debut one, you had the reversed one, and then the one with the straps we saw, I think, was Survivor Series 2001. That was all red with like the black flames around his titties area, and I think it was No Way Out 2001. He took out all the red, and it was just an all black strap thing.
Yeah.
So he never had the variations here, and I always wondered why that was, because I liked a bit of a variation on Kane.
It was cool. Maybe it would have been a bit too much with the red. Like, if it was all red and just black straps, maybe it would have looked a bit like, I don't know, like Santa Claus or something, but we'll see.
Is this all right, or is that too harsh?
I think it's all right, because going from Kane being like this massive monster that you couldn't work out, there's been this slow, like, eroding of that character. Sorry, I just had a coffee burp there. Eroding of that character down, and now he can smile and be a babyface, and it's like, nah, it's just not. That's not what Kane is to me. I understand that that's like people might be going, what? But like, that's not what Kane is to me. That's my opinion. So
No, I agree, because debut Kane is still the best Kane for me by a country mile. But it's weird. It's definitely something that Kane wanted to do, was to get rid of the mask so he could show more emotion, because obviously everything he did up until that point as Kane was all like body, like, oh, I'm hurting now, but I can't do anything with my face. And that must be hard.
Yeah. And he's just, he's the best. He's just great. I love Kane. So we'll give him this little misstep, but it's going to get a lot worse.
What's your take on Kane not liking face masks? And
I think it's ironic. I think it's really ironic. But as you can see right here, everything but his mouth and nose is covered. So maybe he was trying to tell us back then what his stance was.
I could just imagine him in this proper political meeting, because I think it was 7-1, wasn't it? He was the only one who didn't want to vote in favour.
Little Kane masks framed behind him, all with mouth covering.
You can't show emotion with your face when you're wearing a mask. You can't walk down to the shops wearing a mask and show your emotion to the cashier. I just imagine him doing that anyway.
I did Fighter Fest graded yesterday, and it cut to commentary, and they're all sat there talking about face masks. And Excalibur sat there with a mask on everywhere but here. I was like, come on, that was the perfect chance to fill in the bottom of it and just have it like Velcro in. That would have been great.
But then we move on, Sam. Kane unmasks. He then keeps on, obviously, the tie we've just spoke about there, without his mask, which looked weird. It did just look weird to me. It looked unfinished because, obviously, we got used to seeing something for so long. And then he took away the torso part and just had some sort of themed tights on that, the slow chemical era.
Yeah.
What were you making about those tights?
So his initially it's all just like stitching, but I believe the pattern on Kane's gear from this point onwards, the stitching is supposed to resemble the stitching of an autopsy, which is why when it goes back to him having the big singlet, the stitches sort of go up and it's like would open the body up basically, like cavity
that makes
cuts.
sense.
But I don't think that's that here. I think it's all like scraps and stuff, a little bit spoopy Halloweeny. But the thing is, when Kane unmasked, I'll never forget. Like it's burned into my brain. Kneeling on my living room floor, my brother just like inches from the TV, like, oh my god, we're going to see his face. And then he turned around and the camera was all weird and he had like all the makeup and he'd shaved a bit of the hair and it was like, oh, this is like mental. And then very quickly that wears off. But initially the impact of this was massive. Because you've taken the lid off Pandora's box now. Kane can never go back to what he was. So Kane has to become an entirely different character, which he does. He becomes a lot more sinister, and without the mask he's able to deliver and have this range, and it's amazing that he was able to just sit on that ability for so long quietly and then just turn up and dial it on. But like it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
You say that because that initial run when he first took the mask off and he was doing horrible things to RVD and Shane McMahon.
I thought it was going to win with the mask having to go back on to stop him from being like so destructive.
Yeah.
But now they just kept it off.
You'd think, obviously, going from 97 to 2003 with doing things one way, you'd think taking that thing off, the mask, just wouldn't work. But that initial run with the Shane McMahon feud especially, it was unbelievable. I love that kid.
Well, that's it. It's such a good little thing, but ultimately it's a bit...
Yeah, we've taken the essence of Kane away and made him something different, which I guess characters have to evolve, don't they? The Undertaker and Chris Jericho and people that'll tell you that. But where do we put the attire? We're here to rank attires.
I'd say it's better than what comes later, for sure.
Yeah,
I'd say it's
all right.
Top of all right. I think
top of all right.
I think it's better. It's better than the last one because the last one was like half in, half out. Whereas this has just gone, alright, screw it, let's do it. And it's stepped in, and it's at least committed to being mask-free Kane instead of just cutting little bits away. Because eventually he would have ended up with a Swiss cheese mask with air holes so he could breathe. And he'd look like Jason. So.
But obviously later in the day, after Kane would come back in 2011, which we're going to talk about now, we would have the current day Kane that we see when he does rock up with the mask and the outfit and whatnot. We'd see corporate Kane, which I was never ever a fan of, him wrestling in a shirt and dress pants, and sometimes he would take the shirt off and stuff. But the last Kane we're going to speak about is the Kane who returned in the arse end of 2011, because I was at uni and I hadn't been watching wrestling for years, but I heard Kane had come back with a mask
thing here.
and I was like, I have got to see this. So I was on there on the Tuesday morning on YouTube watching Kane come back with his mask on, and I saw a man wearing a welding mask, and I was like, what's happened here? Things have changed. I'm not a fan.
I couldn't believe this when I saw it. It was just like, whoa. Like, it looks... Because I didn't know it was a welding mask. I thought it was some just purpose-built, like, motorbike helmet thing that had been, like, paper mache'd over. But, like, it's just... I don't get it. Like, and it quietly went away, didn't it? They did it, and then it just never really happened again. But they got a figure out of it, and they got a couple of things like that. But it just... Is Kane a welder now?
Why
is
would
Kane
he wear a
picking
mask
up jobs on the
mask?
weekend? Is Vince not paying out as much as he used to?
He must have just used a really expensive material for his newer mask to cover it up when he's in public.
The mask on mask thing, it happens in Mexico a lot, it happens in Japan. Like, masked wrestlers, because obviously the pageantry of it all, they like to keep people guessing about what the mask's going to be. If they say, like, Best of the Super Juniors, Bushi might have a different mask for each match. So he'll have like a couple of different entrance masks that go over the top, and then when he gets to the ring, he'll pull it off, and you'll see the big reveal of the mask. But with this, it's just a bit like, oh, I'm big and lumbery, oh, I'm coming down, and he takes it off, and it's just Kane. But this is brown mask Kane as well, so it's just I never really got that leathery, weird like orangey brown mask. It's just nah.
It looks like Two-Face out the Batman film, the mid-90s one.
Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones. That one.
Well, that's it. It's almost like it was made out of human skin, which is, I get maybe the point, but it's like, it's just paint it red and black, Kane. We love it.
But I tell you what, you saying before that the stitching was meant to be like an autopsy has completely changed my opinion on that attire, because I thought that looked crap until you said that. I didn't
know what it was until I did a little bit of digging, and somebody said, and if you do, like, if you've got the strong enough stomach to look at where the scars are and stuff, but you can, it's like all the way down the cavity and everything. But I think it goes off onto his legs as well and stuff, so it's all like themed. But this is all is this post See No Evil? So Kane has already sort of become a horror monster now. He's sort of slid into that. And then Kane as a character becomes psychotic and almost like Two-Face, as he said, with Corporate Kane. So he sort of went from being this mankind-esque, man-made like result of an accident that he couldn't help to being this like monster that was controlling his own fate. But yeah, I don't know where to put this one though, because it's just not... It's not Kane.
It's not in the best tier. It's not in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely. Is it on par with Slow Chemical Kane and Tights Kane?
I think it's worse.
I think it's worse as well. Just about bearable. Just because of the mask, and you might like it at home, and that's good for you, but the mask, the iron welding mask thing, I was not a fan of whatsoever. So then we're moving on to a more modern attire. We have what I've described as, in videos for a long time now, Mojo Rawley's human condom look, Sam.
It's certainly something, isn't it? I get like the cracks on the face, because I guess he's sort of losing his mind and he's becoming unhinged.
He's looking at the man in the mirror.
But it's just like the material of the gear looks like a bin bag. It's weird. Like, but at the same time, like, I remember being really excited about this because it was hopefully something new and the start of something actually decent for Mojo that could maybe lead to, you know, like a small feud or something that pans across on the TV, maybe end up on a pay-per-view. Because I think Mojo's been sort of typecast and then just kicked off into the locker room and that's it. They just sort of put him in the back of the wagon and take him from venue to venue. But this was it sort of signalled the start of what could have been something great, and then they quickly just went, we don't have time for this. And it was like, what? Yeah. And then like he turns up occasionally with the cracks on, and it's like, what? Like you've just repackaged a guy and then you've just sort of put him out on an island on his own and left him there? Like, what?
Yeah, that's the thing with Mojo, isn't it? Because like the hype bro stuff, I find that unbearable. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever.
It was Mojo fun Rawley, for a little bit, but when it kept going, it was like, oof, like
too much. But when Mojo's cutting a proper like moody and serious promo, he can do that better than most people on the roster.
But this came after the promo he cut in his car for the US title thing, wasn't it? He cut a promo in his car just with his phone, and that was sort of the beginning of all the stuff that like Mustafa Ali's been doing, where he shoots his own promos and it's just out there like cutting these promos. But like, I remember Mojo cut this amazing promo in his car just on his phone and put it on Twitter, and it was like, this could be the start of something fresh. But it's just the way they're cast off, isn't it? Like, it's so strange. But it's like, I don't know, like maybe his gear was rushed because of this. Maybe he didn't really know what was going on. Maybe it was just made on the fly. You don't know. But it's not great.
To me, as well as looking like a human condom, he's gone into his garden, had a bit of a pool party, one of those slip and slide things, looked at the slip and slide thing, thought, you know what, I might cut that up when everyone goes home and put it on. It'll look great, that. Yeah. I think this goes in the bin, Sam.
I think it goes in the bin as well. I think you're right.
There we have it. Sad stuff for Mojo Rawley there, who has, as far as I'm aware, has ditched the man in the mirror painting face thingy. It just looked like a ballpoint pen exploding on his face. It was silly. Anyway, then we have Kassius Ohno. And Ohno is quite fitting for his attire back in the NXT days, because why? you know, Kassius Ohno was a larger fella. And I can empathise with the guy.
Yeah.
Why would you wear tight-fitting clothes like this, especially a basketball shirt and undercrackers?
It's not so much. It's not so much like the fact it's tight for me. It's just the combination. It's really weird. Like he's got
it tucked in the picture of
his.
Which is
it's like his whole torso is like covered by this jersey, which is like cool. But then it goes into shorts, and that's what I'm like. It's like Y fronts. I'm like. I thought it was going to like continue like down to 3/4 length, or it was going to be like, you know, like a weird bodysuit, like MVP type deal. But no, it's just like it's weird mix. And I think that for me, the problem isn't that, you know, he's a bit, because I'm a bigger guy. I wear tight t-shirts because I can't fit into them. But like, it's just the disconnect between the fact that it's essentially a vest and some underpants. It's like.
Literally anything else on his legs would be better than what he was wearing.
He could have the Ahmed Johnson strips. That would have been cool.
Yeah, it looked better later on because he started wearing a bigger basketball shirt that would sort of cover his arse and his crotch. And it was, but
well, the thing is, it didn't, because sometimes the longer one would cover his crotch and it would make it look like he wasn't wearing underpants. So it just looked like he had a jersey on, knee pads and boots, and it was...
Bin.
I think it's bin worthy, yeah.
Gotta be bin.
Because I think if you're going to go for the vest, I like the Kevin Owens look more, like the shorts and the vest. But at the same time, he can't really do that, can he? Because it's already been a Kevin Owens thing, and he's already got KO on his gear. So it's like, you can't get too close to it, but yeah, bin.
If I was a wrestler, I think I would go for the Kevin Owens attire.
Yeah, for sure.
Comfortable. It looks comfortable, doesn't it? But then we move on to 2003. Triple H has a bit of an accident with his groin.
Yes.
Not like that. He had a big groin tear from a previous match. This was it Unforgiven when he had the match against Goldberg? This happened beforehand.
Yeah.
He had a match with Goldberg. The groin was torn, and he had to wear cycling compression short thingies, which in a bit of research I've done, Sam, I found out they were so constricting that multiple people had to help Triple H get into the shorts before he would wrestle. So imagine the likes of Randy Orton, Batista, holding open, prying open these shorts, and then Triple H sort of jumping in them like Wallace in his wrong trousers.
Vince just tucking him in at the front.
Cupping him as he does. So what do you think about Triple H's cycling shorts?
It's always a weird one. It's like whenever I see Triple H in pants or Triple H in his little purple boys, I'm used to him in black Y-front trunks with his logos on them, and that's it. Elbow pad, taped up arms. That's Triple H to me. Like, maybe you can spring for the leather and denim. That's also Triple H to me. But this is like necessity, absolutely. He's got his trunks over the top of them because clearly he knows he can't just wrestle without his trunks on and stuff. Like, can't just wrestle in a pair of cycling shorts. But it's just odd, isn't it? It's proper. When you go back, it's like, what?
It's a weird, because I don't think obviously I didn't have Sky at this point, but I did see, WWE Experience with Todd Grisham and Ivory and stuff like that on Sky One. And as far as I can remember, they didn't make a big deal about how Triple H was wearing these. He just sort of turned up, and that was Triple H.
The thing is, it's not really that big a deal if it's helping with an injury. It's no different to wearing a cast. It's no different to having like a couple of fingers taped off if you've broken them. Like it's a necessity. Just from a stylistic point of view, why would you not just wear long tights? Triple H wore long tights for a while and just put the compression shorts underneath.
Well,
why
that's
not
it,
do that?
yeah. That's the other thing is you could have had tights. Maybe it was a case of couldn't get them made in time, but then at the same time, I'm sure WWE has like tons of tailors and like seamsters and seamstresses on employ. So I'm sure he could have got something. Maybe it's just that he didn't want to. Maybe it looked ridiculous. Maybe he tried it. I don't know, but it just. I think you're right. Like full tights would have been better than just the little trunky boys.
Yeah. So where are we going for Triple H and his cycling shorts? Not his fault, but it's a famous, iconic attire all the same.
I'd say bearable, you know.
Bearable? I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's just that question, isn't it? Why not cover them up with long tights and make it look a bit more presentable?
Well,
that's the only thing
that's exactly
I'm asking.
It.
And now we're moving on to another career retrospective part of this tier ranking thingy, and we have The Undertaker. We have 10 different versions of The Undertaker to rank, Sam. We're starting obviously with debut Undertaker, the old schooly funeral director Undertaker thingy. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon's wet dream for a character that he finally gave to Mark Calloway back in November of 1990. What are you saying?
This is iconic for me. I love Southern funeral directing cowboy Undertaker. I love it. I love the grey gloves. I love the massive tie. I love the big brimmed hat, the massive duster. The only time the duster was terrible was when they stitched in the US flag.
Yeah.
but it's just it's iconic. It must have been so sweaty under those stage lights at that time, back when technology wasn't quite as good as it is now. Because they're still hot now, but Jesus, back then, I don't know what else you can really say about it. It's just lush.
Yes, it's just the best, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's straight and the best. I don't think we need to say too much about that.
Yeah.
We'll save off to the end of this discussion, Sam, what your favourite version of The Undertaker is, just to tantalise and ball tickle for a little bit longer. Anyway, moving on to New Generation Undertaker. Much the same, slightly different haircut, bigger gloves, purple was brought in a bit more prominently. What are you saying about this one?
This is better than the last one. I think this one is better because it's more freeing. You see the tattoos, you see his hair's proper long at this point. The purple as an accent is really good. I really like that. But it's just when you think back to early 90s Undertaker, this is the iconic. If you just think back to early 90s WWF, you'll think of Undertaker like this. And that's the thing, it's just the purple gloves, the big menacing, almost like Scooby-Doo look to him. He looks like a villain off a cartoon. It's just great.
And the hair, I know obviously he just sort of debuted as Undertaker, but the ginger, proper late 80s, early 90s mullet, it just didn't fit the character, did it? Are you okay then? Do you need me to take a break?
I'm fine, I'm just turning the lamp around.
Oh, that's all right.
There we go.
That was the only thing I sort of took away from the presentation, was the sort of hip-hop and happening mullet.
Yeah.
All business at the front, lots of partying at the back. But the change in hairstyles to the sort of greased down, proper wet look. Ooh, I'm going to hide behind me hair because I'm big and scary and all that malarkey. That made it better in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's got to go in the best again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, 100%.
Then we're moving on. Sam, he has that match with Mabel. Mabel breaks his orbital bones, but does he take time off? Does he bollocks? Undertaker wrestles in a Phantom of the Opera mask. And I learned this week, of all weeks, Sam, I was watching one of Kenny's interviews with Mick Foley.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley's Mankind mask was one of the designs put forward to The Undertaker as one of the orbital fracture cover-up things. So Undertaker could have been wearing Mankind's mask had he not chosen that one.
That would have been different, because if you look back at the original concepts for Mason the Mutilator, he's it's all metal and like cogs and stuff. It looks like something you'd see in a Saw movie. But this is just, it's essentially what Kane's mask became, but it's just, I don't know, it's a necessity again. It's like Triple H's shorts. It's necessary, but it just looks a bit ridiculous.
Do you think it looks good?
Nah, I'm never a fan of this. I know a lot of people love it, and I can see why, because it adds that extra layer of mystique to it. But for me, it's just a bit it looks a little bit like a cheap witch mask you'd see at Poundland in the 90s. Sorry, everything's a pound. That's how old I am.
So what are you saying for this? It's not in the best tier, I'm guessing?
I'd say this is in lovely, lovely, lovely.
He's going to put it in lovely, lovely, lovely. I'll go along with that.
Right, just keep talking. I'm just going to try and adjust the brightness on my camera here, just because
Not a problem. What do you want me to talk about, Sam? Anything in particular?
Up to you, mate. There we go.
The weather's a bit iffy today, isn't it?
I'm going to close my window as well, because people are out there talking. I'm just having a nice little break here in the middle.
Inconsiderate bastards in the public street. We're sat here trying to shoot a tearless drunken, and they're talking in the street.
There we go, done.
Tell them to have more respect.
Oh, mate, they hold parties all the time. They're on the balcony, opposite my kitchen. It's bad.
Throw eggs at them. Anyway, then we're moving on to sort of late 1996 Undertaker, where he becomes a little bit saucy. We see him at Survivor Series. He's descending from the rafters in bat wings he's got. He's got bat wings, like Batman. Something that I've seen he says he regretted. He said it was a bit too hokey for why he wanted to take the character in a sort of direction. But we have Undertaker sort of leather pants, leather waistcoat, jacket thingy with the arms out. Thoughts on that one? I don't think it's one of the best ones.
No, he looks like a goth Robin Hood. It's not great. I mean, it's just that old school style, like almost Hunter Hearst Helmsley, like tied up.
Yeah,
I can't.
all the lacy.
Yeah,
oh.
it's just weird.
He's been to Ann Summers for that one.
It looks like it's made out of like satin. Like it's a set that he's bought, like a pajama set that he's repurposed to something.
I'm going to suggest bearable.
I'm not a fan of this at all. I'd say
all.
bearable. I don't think it's. When you think of Undertaker, this isn't one of the things that pops into my head at all.
Nah. Yeah, I did like the bat wings though. I do disagree with the man himself on that one. I thought they were great when he came down from the rafters.
The spectacle of Undertaker, like entrances where he'd like levitate over the ropes, or he'd like fall, like come in like that with the from the ceiling, or you can have him like. I mean, Christ, even like the bike, everything, the spectacle, it's just there, and I think stuff like adds to it, and it's always good, even if he hated it. I think it's cool.
He's gone.
Oh no! Hold on,
He's frozen.
I'll be back.
Reconnecting. There is a poor network connection. He's back again, everybody. Yes, Sam Driver's back. Sam, where we put in, I think the bat wings are the only thing keeping this out of the bin. What do you say?
I'd say, yeah, it's got to go unbearable. It's not great. It's not iconic. It's just just a load of
And then we move into the Prince of Darkness era of The Undertaker, the sort of Undertaker you were seeing when Kane was debuting Hell in a Cell against Mankind. This version of The Undertaker. Differences being the longer sort of, whatever you might call them,
he's got like a big like duster that's, it's very ornate. It's very like meticulously detailed, like around the shoulders and stuff.
He's got the hair greased down good and proper.
And he's got the tattoo.
The tattoo, yes, the tattoo on the cheek, like he's just been in prison.
For murdering a man.
Wow. What do you say for this one?
It's good, but it's not, again, I wouldn't say that this is like my ideal image of Undertaker, personally. No. I don't really have any connection to this. At this stage, I don't really have a connection to this sort of Undertaker. So...
I still think it's at least all right, if not lovely.
It's a step in the right direction because it's more sinister for sure. Like it's I guess the first time Undertaker's got serious, like with a new gear design, because up to then he's been like fabric, weird satin pajamas, and then now it's leather, and now it's like I think he's gone full goth here, which needs to be commended, but it's not quite as good as it's gonna get. So I'd say it's in top of alright or bottom of lovely.
I'll go bottom of lovely because I'm quite partial to it. And then we're moving on to the Ministry of Darkness as you are frozen once again. I've got no idea if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Hello, I can hear you now. You're just not moving.
Sweet.
Ministry of Darkness Taker.
Right, yeah, this is great. This is properly great. I love it. I love the big shoulders. I love the crazy like stuff on the front of his shirt. I love that he's got the big boots on. I love everything about this. I think it's great. His little beard with his little points. He looks very satanic. It's good. It's almost Sullivan-esque in the face. But yeah, I like how it's a bit more sinister. Again, they've dialed it up. It's very comic booky. And he looks a bit like a Power Rangers villain, but again, that was sort of around the time that was popular. So I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just personal preference, but he'd gone from wearing the sort of cut-up dress shirt as his torso attire to wearing the sort of tight lycra, went round his neck. I thought that looked, when it was the way it was cut up around his pectoral, Sam, made him look bigger and more scary.
Yes, and this is peak. He's going around converting people, stealing them, turning them into his minions. That's just peak Undertaker. That's like my childhood. That's when I'm starting to really get into wrestling, and I think this is a big part of it. I mean, this is the Undertaker that puts Austin on the cross and nicked Stephanie, and it's classic moments Taker. This.
So in the best, I put it in the best.
In the best.
And then we move on, obviously goes away to recover his injuries and whatnot for a period of time. Then he returns as the American Badass. The picture I've got here is the blue shirt with the black jeans and the boots. Thoughts on that one?
As much as I loved this at the time, the more I go back to it, I'm like, But at the same time, it's amazing that he was able to change that character up so much. that it was a complete reinvention and he got over all over again with it. Like, it's like when Stephen King started doubting his abilities and started writing under a different name.
I didn't know that happened. What name did he write under?
Richard Bachman. So he was like, I'll see if the critics are saying my books are good just because they're good or just because it's my name on them. But this feels like what Undertaker did here. He sort of completely changes, and people still love it. I mean, the choices of music were pretty terrible. Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock, but they were in at the time. They were very popular.
You cannot say that about Limp Bizkit. They're WWE's favourite band ever in the history of the world ever.
Until SummerSlam 2017 when Fred Durst went. And then they were unceremoniously cold. That was it.
Yeah. Shame. But where are we putting original return, denim shirt, dark denim jeans, where are we putting that one?
I'd say this is top of all right.
Top of all right? I'll go with that.
Yeah, because it gets better.
It does get better. We obviously have to a special shout out. I've not included the picture in this one. Special shout out to I think the match he had with Kurt Angle. I think it was at Survivor Series when he had the snakeskin pants on.
Right.
Do you remember those ones that were like? Oh, they were special.
I'm gonna have to
special
quickly
shout out to
Google
those
that.
pants.
Snakeskin Undertaker pants.
I'm sure there was snakeskin. I think there were, or even crocodile print, something like that. They were light in colour though, Sam. He had a black singlet on with the light trousers. It was one hell of a look.
Kurt Angle Undertaker pants. Oh wow!
They are special.
What is that? He looks like
a. What event was it?
He looks like a New Orleans pimp. He looks like
incredible trousers.
What do you call him? Who left with Vince Russo? Ed Ferrara. That's how he used to dress.
That is a sentence nobody's ever said before, I don't think. Undertaker looks like Ed Ferrara.
He does in that
anyway,
picture.
We move on to the later day American Badass, if you will, when Jim Ross was calling him Old Booger Red.
Yes.
The red bloody bogey, as far as I'm aware.
Big Evil, and Big Evil is great. This was like, he got the look just right. Black leather, the vest. He was, American flag on the back of the bike, the bandana, the hair, and everything was like, it was a complete change. Undertaker was a great, great heel around this character. Like, just great anyway. But like, this was full.
But he was one of those heels. One of those heels that was so cool you couldn't help but cheer the guy.
And this was like
badass.
Full realization of that character change, I think, and it was great.
So yeah, this is definitely a step up from the debut of the American Badass with a blue shirt. So it's got to be at least all right. Is it pushing it to lovely, lovely, lovely territory?
I think it's lovely, lovely, lovely.
Just for those leather pants alone.
Yeah.
It was the simplicity of it as well, wasn't it? It was like just very, here I am in my leather pants.
I'm sure
I've been for a beer. I've had a bifter.
Somebody discovered recently, and I'm just remembering it now. His logo, the big red devil face.
Yeah.
Right? The hair spells out Undertaker, I think. So if you find the t-shirt...
Does it?
Yeah, it's like a subliminal thing. It spells out something. Hold on. Undertaker, Big Evil shirt. I'll try and put it up on screen while we're talking about it.
We're through the choppy waters now, hopefully. We are moving on to the Deadman return, the sort of Undertaker we saw once he'd grown his hair out from about, I don't know, when the hair reached full voluptuousness, about 2007 through to about 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
What are you saying about this one?
Well, it's modern Undertaker now, that's what it is. This is pretty much what Taker has been since he returned. The only thing is that he's got slightly more ornate gear now, I guess. But the whole thing with this apparently was that Undertaker didn't want to go back to being Undertaker and had to be convinced. And then it was a whole thing of like, well, I've taken on a whole new style since becoming like Big Evil and doing all that stuff. I don't do half the stuff anymore. And it was like, no, you don't have to be spooky old Undertaker in ring. You just have to be him on the way to the ring, and when you get in there, you can still do the same stuff, throw in a little bit of the old flavour, and it'll be fine. But it apparently took a lot of convincing to get him to do it again. But I'm so glad they did. The only thing that is weird that sort of remained is the MMA gloves, but I guess that's, preference thing, isn't it?
So where are you putting this Undertaker? Obviously with the sort of retro hat, but it wasn't really. It was slightly different. The long sort of leather trench coat, the leather pants, and the singlet on top. Where are you putting this one?
I don't think it's as good as the older stuff, but I'd say it's still up there. I don't know. What are you thinking? I'll divert to you on this one.
I think it's in lovely, personally. I think if we're going to put like old Booger Red and the Prince of Darkness and sort of the Phantom of the Opera, we're going to put this one on the similar level to that one. Don't think it's in the best, but it's certainly no worse than that. And then we're moving on to the end of an era Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 28. He rocks up. He wore a wig, I think, for like the build-up to that WrestleMania. Then we get there and he lifts off his hood and there's a bloody bald Mohican thing. Thoughts on this one?
I liked it because it was a big shock. He did look a bit like Phil Mitchell, though. That's the
He's
only
not
thing.
as hard as Phil Mitchell, though.
No, and with the eyeliner and no hair, it looks just a little bit jarring, but it's still really cool, and the gear is proper, like detailed. I'd say this is at least lovely.
I would say that as well, just for the coat. I think we use it as the Undertaker silhouette in all of our news videos still to this day. The one with all the spikes on the shoulders and stuff. I think that's his best ring coat ever. So we go lovely. I don't think it's on the same level as Ministry or the original one.
Bottom then. Bottom of lovely.
Bottom of lovely. Then we move on to the most recent Undertaker we saw, the Holy Trinity. Oh, sorry, the Unholy Trinity, sorry. I thought that was going to be the debut of a brand new stable for him, but no. What he meant by that, obviously for the Boneyard match against AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36, was just the amalgamation of Mark Calloway, Deadman Taker, and Biker Taker all in one package. That's what he meant by that one. So what are you making about that one?
Yeah, they got it bob on. He looks like he's like an extra in Sons of Anarchy or something. He wouldn't look out of place in an episode of Breaking Bad. But it's just, it's spot on, isn't it? He's turned up to do business. He's got his leather on. He's got his gloves on. Got his bandana. And his bike with Radical 2001 flames. He should have been wearing a Guy Fieri Flavortown shirt with like a tiger on the back and an airbrushed painting of like a souped up Porsche.
Do you see he's the actual final boss of the Wednesday Night Wars, if that's actually a thing?
Yeah, I saw
on
this.
On the top of the TV ratings,
Somebody
he was top
followed
line.
me. Like this account that charts the ratings. It's the best.
So, Unholy Trinity, Mark Calloway, where are we going?
This is at least lovely.
I think if we're going to put Booger Red on there, we've got to put Unholy Trinity slightly higher up.
Well, yeah, this is like the final realization of all of that Biker Taker build. This is sort of how he would look now if he was still Biker Taker.
And then we go back to the random assortment of superstars from WWE's past. Well, this is a present superstar, actually. It's Mr. Ronald Mysterious himself. And how do we go anywhere, Sam, but the very best?
Well, are we talking this exact outfit? Like, because the mask
How can you talk about one Rey Mysterio?
You can't, that's the thing. But I like the construction of the mask here. It seems a lot thicker and like a lot like, so the weird like wing things that come down, they look like they're made out of like a hard rubber. If you go back and look at any proper like shots of him from that night, like the backstage shots, the mask looks proper, like really detailed. It's like made out of like a cool leather. It's really thick and really like expensive looking. And I think that's the best sort of mask Rey's had, and I think like that should be what all of his masks are built off, that sort of foundation. But I mean, come on, the only thing that Rey ever did that was terrible was when he started wearing that singlet.
Yeah,
that was the only thing that was bad. Like everything else, I mean, look at him, sick at him, man of his age looking like that.
I know, he's got to be in the best, hasn't he? What's your thoughts on the mask? You know when he started to cut the back off and it was just a bald head.
I don't like that.
I was never a fan of that either.
No, I preferred the Aztec seal at the back, like, or whatever it is, with the full head. I get it's probably again a breathability thing, but nah, I was never a fan. The only time it worked was obviously Jericho when he pulled the mask off and it was double mask. But I prefer the full-headed mask from Rey.
Do you have a particular favourite look for Mr. Ronald Mysterious? Mine's his WCW purple question mark attire. Oh,
it's all stitched together right up to the mask itself. He just steps into it like it's a transformer.
That might just be. I had a toy, a WCW toy. It was the Giant and Rey Mysterio in a package together.
Yeah.
And Rey's neck would extend, so Big Show would get his hand around his neck. It was a fantastic toy.
I love...
Sorry, action figure.
What was this? It was one of his Mania entrances where it was all like just huge, like massive spectacle. I think it was like...
25, is that the one with the
big headdress and everything? Yeah, I loved that. Like,
was that
loved
early?
that.
I can't remember. Yep, all fantastic stuff from Ronald Mysterious. Then we move on to Ric Flair. Excuse me, where are we going here?
I mean, for the entrance robe alone, it's iconic. I mean, come on. He literally wears trunks with his initials, boots with his initials.
Yeah, Ric Flair's got to go in the best, hasn't it? You would think on paper many wrestling fans wouldn't take that sort of thing, but obviously with his gimmick as the pompous, I'm richer than you, I've got $15,000 crocodile shoes, woo! And all that malarkey. Fantastic stuff from Ric Flair. It's timeless as well.
Yeah, there's a guy on eBay who sells feathers. He has a couple of Ric Flair robes. And obviously when he has them cleaned and stuff, feathers drop off. So he has the feathers sealed in like a resin, and then he'll sell you this little block with a Ric Flair and like a certificate of authenticity. They're like £80, but it's really cool. I would never pay for it, but it's really cool.
And then we're moving on to one of Ric Flair's greatest rivals. Obviously, this tier ranking is about WWE superstars. Sting obviously did appear in WWE. But we have to speak about the proper Sting, don't we? WCW, 97, that sort of time.
The singlet with the scorpion up the side of it.
The padding is what
duster.
made a big... You know when he had the thigh padding?
The goalkeeper padding, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That was a big difference. And he had the crotch padding as well for some reason.
Yeah. My dad used to play Sunday League and he was a goalkeeper, so his goalie pants were, for the winter, they were literally what Sting wore. Like the massive padding down the front and shins.
Fantastic. This has got to go.
It's iconic.
It's better than Surfer Sting. I'm going there now before we say anything else.
I think we should have had a whole extra tier here just called iconic, where it's just yeah.
I guess it's what the best is. Just look at the array of talent we've got there. We've got Kane, a couple of takers, Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair and Sting. That is just iconic by itself. Yeah. And speaking of iconic, I don't know which version of Macho Man we want to speak about here, but Macho Man, Randy Savage, Sam, it's got to go in the best as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the glasses, the hat, the huge ornate entrance gowns, Macho King, where he's got the sedan, he's being carried to the ring, and
it's that robe where when he stretches his arms out, it's just there as one big
He's
thing.
the epitome of pageantry in wrestling. When you look back at his stuff, it's just the level of it's great. It's great. It's great.
It's in the best straight away.
Yeah.
Then we move on to more iconicness as we have the LOD, the shoulder pads with the spikes. Oh, there's something else from shoulder pads with spikes.
Best. And their hair fills each other's in.
I know, that's the great thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you watch the Dark Side of the Ring on them too?
Yeah, I did. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I had no idea about Hawk buggering off to Japan and then doing the LOD with somebody else.
Yeah, Power Warrior, and it got very awkward. And it's how fitting as well, there's pictures with the iconic tag belts as well. Those tag belts are just...
That is late 1980s WWF in a nutshell there, isn't it?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Animal going into short shorts for a period of time, Sam?
I like it more as it is. I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to this. So, no.
Not a fan of LOD 2000 then?
No, I wasn't a fan of Heidenreich either.
What about Droz?
It was interesting for sure, but I just don't know. It was this weird time where they weren't really ever clutching at straws for anything else, but this felt like it was clutching at straws storyline wise. It was just like in a sea of all of this brand new, entertaining, unbelievable stuff. This was like a fart. It had been there before, and it's back again, but it's not as good. It's even worse now. So it's like if they just let them continue and put Droz somewhere else, I think it could have been great. But it's just not my jam.
Back to the modern day we go, and this time we have Angel Garza. And you might be sat there thinking to yourself, this is just a guy who wears leather? Is it leather? Pleather? Y-front in the ring? But we're not here to speak about that, are we, Sam? There go the pants, Tom Phillips likes to say on a Monday night. What are your thoughts on the pants?
I think it's great. I think that, especially with Full Sail in his first couple of matches, when he whacked him off, everybody was like, whoa! And it was class. Garza, for me, he is the future of that company. They need to hold on to him as much as they physically can. That guy is a rocket. He doesn't need a rocket strapped into him. He will take them to the moon. And he whaps his pants off. It's great.
What's not to love?
I wouldn't say it's iconic or anything. Not yet.
It might be one day. You never know.
But I'd say, you know, it's all right. It's all right for now. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Maybe top of all right.
We'll put it in all right, and then we'll see where it goes. I would like to see more variation on the pants. Obviously, we've seen it where someone's grabbed them and he's kept on running and they've come off. We've seen how lots of different ways, but I guess how do you make that different? Do you have any ideas of how to rip pants off differently, Sam?
You could throw the pants at your opponent and then play dead like Eddie Guerrero.
Because pants are a bad thing in wrestling. Honky Tonk Man we have next.
Oh God, it's just, I mean, it's iconic, but Honky's not one of my favourite wrestlers. I've never really been that interested in him, but he looks the part. He looks the part, and that's the thing. he looks like an old Elvis. It's fine.
I know that is. It's literally is just Elvis, isn't it?
He looks like the guy that for 50 quid extra would have married us in Vegas.
Divorce still ongoing, by the way. But I don't like the lack of originality here. I'm trying to look at the rest of everything else we've tiered so far, and everything else sort of has its own unique spin on it, doesn't it?
Well, this is the thing with Honky Tonk Man. Like, there's a lot of variation, but it's a lot of variation on the same theme. So with Undertaker, you saw like he went from like cotton to like that weird satin to leather to biker to all this stuff. Honky just sort of found a jumpsuit, looked like Elvis, rhinestone it different every time. And again, like, I get that this is from the comic book era, so like everybody wore the same thing. It's not something you can actually complain about because Vader never changed. Like when he was in there, like you never had like anything. Hogan didn't change. Macho Man changed it up, but like most people that were like prominent were just wearing the same gear, like a cartoon character. So sort of a victim of the time maybe with that sort of way of thinking about gear, but maybe
bearable?
Put it in bearable.
I don't think it's bin worthy.
Nah.
Just above the bin.
He's made an effort, so it's not bin worthy. But
yeah, and he still looks exactly the same today as he did in 1988. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Then we go on to Goldust.
Just Goldust in general.
I don't know, because obviously we have Gimp Goldust for a period of time, don't we? We're not counting Black Rain or anything like that.
My favourite Goldust is still just the original, like, long wig and the bodysuit and the very simple paint. The Intercontinental Championship with the gold strap. Like, that Goldust was so boundary pushing, like, at the time for the audience. He got heat for like just based off the audience's misconceptions and preconceptions about him as a character, but like just it's iconic, isn't it? The guy is gold. He's painted himself gold. He nearly got breast implants. He's think of how much it would have dialed it up if he had breast implants.
I know.
That's what's keeping you out the best, Dustin. That's what's keeping you out the best, son.
What are your? Do you prefer the black and gold or the silver and gold? Because I'm edging towards the silver. I used to love the paler gold with the silver rather than the richer gold with the black.
I prefer black and gold.
Oh.
Although no, actually, no. The silver with the big like it's got like the big almost cane like tear across it. Or it's like a thing up the front. But yeah, that's peak Goldust for me.
So where are we going with just Goldust in general, a golden man in the wrestling ring?
It's either going to be bottom of the best or top of lovely, lovely, lovely.
Oh, is it better than... Oops, I've done that thing. Sorry, Sam, I've done that thing.
It's alright, don't worry. I've dropped it.
Is it better than Kane in 2001?
Yes.
This is a big call.
Yes,
We'll go bottom of the best then. Now moving on to, we've been through the bad, well it's not really his fault, but the bad of Triple H.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the good now. We haven't gone to WrestleMania 31, we've gone to WrestleMania 30. Just quickly, what was your thoughts on this WrestleMania 31 Terminator entrance?
I hated it. I like Terminator as a franchise, and it's one of those things I really, really, really want to do well. I want them to just kill it for about 10, 15 years and just restart it and it'll all be fine. But that entrance, because Genesis was a terrible movie, and they'd clearly paid to have it like tie in. They had Arnold Schwarzenegger and everything, and they had that little video. But when he came out with like the little bit of paper mache, like plastic skeleton on, I was like, nah, I was howling. Middle of the day, I couldn't take it seriously. I know a lot of people loved it, but I'm just like, what? Like, it'd work if it was dark and you could have the weird lightning effect that you get in Terminator, but nah, I think this one was much better.
So yes, this was the entrance where he had, I think it was Alexa Bliss, Charlotte and Sasha Banks dressed in...
They're all on the image here. So,
yeah, they take off his crown mask thingy and his robe and all that malarkey. King of Kings, I thought it looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it in the best or is it just below the best? What's your most iconic Triple H look, Sam? That's a big question for you.
I like 2000 Triple H. I like my time Triple H. I like proper, like, just pre-quad tear, like, big bad, rising through the ranks. Him and Stephanie being, like, mouthy and shouty. Like, I like that Triple H. Or maybe return with the leather and the denim. That's just, oh. But this
you wouldn't
is
get away
iconic.
with that look today.
I think he would. He's Triple H.
So where are we going for the WrestleMania 30 entrance specifically?
I'd say lovely, lovely, lovely.
I'll agree with lovely, lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. It's a fantastic... It is him, isn't it? The King of Kings. Thinks he's better than everyone else.
That's one of the only things that I don't like about this is I hate that theme. I hate the King of Kings theme.
So do I.
Yeah, I like
Not
the
keen on it
game
at all.
and I like my time, and I think that should be it.
My time is better than the game.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Or do you agree?
I agree, yeah.
Lots of people say I'm an idiot when I say that, but anyway, that's
The
nice to hear.
game is just a heavier cover of my time with different lyrics. That's all it is.
Then we move on to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with that head thing he's wearing there.
Yeah, it looks like a Power Ranger.
I love the things coming off his arms though to give him wings.
Yeah, it's just, and he breathed fire as well. So we're gonna throw that in.
That's one of my favourite stories from back in the golden days of Something to Wrestle With, was Brucey P's stories about him being taught to do that and not being comfortable doing it and all that malarkey.
You're doing it whether you like it or not. Vince, I'm genuinely terrified of fire. I could burn to... You're just doing it. You're doing it. Look, and Vince does it himself. It's easy.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some sort of accident with like whoever was the coordinator who was training him how to do it. I'm sure there was some sort of... Someone will let us know in the comments below. It was a while ago that I heard it. Anyway, where are we going for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, specifically with this nonsense on his head and his arms?
Oh, I'd say all right.
I'll go away as well. It's a sign of the times, isn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly fun, and it gets the sort of spirit and feel of wrestling. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera there. It gets the like feel of wrestling, and it's so on brand for that time. But when you step back and you look at it, it's like there's so much going on. There's this chest plate, there's a massive tail, there's the scales down his pants, there's this like weird Velcro-y backpack type straps, like the little plastic straps, and then he's got like Batman stuff going on here with the spikes coming off his arms, and it must have been just like getting into the ring, getting it all off, and just like, oh, nah.
Yeah, there it is. In all right, that's just a sign of the times, isn't it? Then
Yeah.
we're moving on to one which I don't know why we have to... What's that?
I'm just seeing what it is next.
We have to put this one in here, but we all know where it's going.
It's the best all
the
day.
Giant Gonzalez. We're not bastardising this one, Sam.
They stapled a merc into his crotch and just I don't, the airbrushed abs, man. I just don't get, like, what's he supposed to be? Like,
I don't understand either. I've just got a notification from BBC News, Sam. Pubs and all that can reopen August the 3rd. Like indoors properly or something. I couldn't read that notification.
I'll still be
earth-shattering news happening here on the tier list.
I'll still be holding back a bit, I think.
I'll be holding. It's Welsh pubs. Not even relevant. I thought it was some sort of different level to the stuff we had last week. Yeah, my birthday's on the 2nd, and I'm a bit sceptical about going out for a meal and stuff like that.
Just throw a massive rager. We'll all socially distance at Leisure Park and just stand around talking with a boombox.
Anyway, that's unprofessional of me. I got excited when I saw that notification, Sam. Where are we going with the Giant Gonzalez?
He has to go in the bin, doesn't he?
It's in the bin, isn't it?
The airbrushing is so 80s, but it's like... He's almost like a... Have you ever seen any of the artwork for Attack on Titan? Or have you ever seen Attack on Titan in general? He looks sort of like a Titan but like all of his muscles are like ripping out, and he almost looks slightly inside out. It's weird, and he's got the hair down his arms because he's obviously like a wild man. But it doesn't make up for the fact that he was. I mean, you get a better match out of a cardboard box. Really, he is the asterisk on Undertaker's reigns, his legacy, his streak. Word disappeared out of my brain. He's the little mark next to it because he tried to knock the Undertaker out with chloroform. But yeah, I don't know what's happening with my brain, Ross. I think I'm just having a stroke. We'll see.
It's a lockdown, Sam.
Everything's happening. Everything's happening.
I've been fuzzy in the head since March.
Have you had any problems like talking to people where you'll just like start talking to someone and then you'll just go, what do I talk about next? You're just like, social skills are just diminished.
I'm socially awkward to begin with. There's nothing new there. But then we move on to Demolition, who, when I went to the old sex museum in Amsterdam, I got a new appreciation for Demolition. Because essentially all of their attire, face paint aside, obviously, comes from a sexy shop.
Yes, it's all BDSM looking stuff. They're wearing massive harnesses. I mean, come on, but they were what Vince thought people would want because he couldn't get the Road Warriors, and so this was what we got for a bit. And you know, they were the most dominating tag team of all time. They were good. They were good. It's just, I mean, the chaps with the spikes.
It's too naughty for me, Sam. If I was going to sit down my child on a Saturday morning to watch some wrestling, I don't want to see Demolition coming out there.
But with the masks on, they look sort of like Mortal Kombat villains, or like sort of they'd be in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or some street punks or something. But it's you wouldn't get away with it today, I don't think.
Try to think who like the most sort of sex shop attire is in wrestling today. Let us know who you think in the comments below. Who is it?
Roman's got some padding on.
Roman does not get his laser tag vest from a sex shop. Or maybe he does. I don't know. I've never been. Have you been in a sex shop?
If you own a sex shop out there, maybe you can let us know what your stock's like.
Demolition. Where we're going?
It's still an iconic look, but it's not that great. I'd say all right or lovely.
I'll go all right. It's just that you can't get out your head once you've seen the thing, seen the dirtiness of it all. Anyway, then we're moving on to another career retrospective kind of thing. We're not talking about Husky Harris before we start here. We're speaking about Bray Wyatt, kicking things off with cult leader Bray, the hat, the rocking chair, the Hawaiian shirt, the Wailing Mercy, everything about Wailing. What are you saying for this one?
This is great. I really like this because nobody else was doing it. He reignited a gimmick that was long dead. He had the charisma to pull it off. And just the juxtaposition of that lovely, bright, colourful shirt with that dark interior, like everything that's going on inside of him, like, I think that's cool. But it gets a lot worse before it gets a lot better with Bray Wyatt. So I'd say that this has to be up there for sure. I wouldn't say
that's
it's
an
like,
interesting comment. What do you mean by that?
Because it gets to a point with Bray Wyatt where it feels like he's just wearing a vest, like he's just cut the sleeves off his t-shirt and he's given up. Like, it feels like it doesn't. Well, I'm just sort of, snowballing, spitballing, whatever here. But it's like, it feels like he starts strong, and then when they just stop caring about him, he just stops caring. Like, he just wears pants and he wears like a vest, and it's like, okay.
This is because I love this look. I love the beard. I love everything about it, and the promos were fantastic. But it got to the point where just because he could cut a good
Internet's
promo.
gone and now our brains have gone.
He could cut, Sam, a good promo. So WWE thought, you know what? He can do a good promo. Let's have him do the same promo every single week where he would just ramble absolute nonsense and nobody knew what he was speaking about.
And the worst part was that it always had to end with run, or it always had to end with follow the buzzards. And like, when they started off and it was cool and it was like, oh, this is like so like creepy and so. But after 3 weeks of it, it's like, alright, he's always on the bayou again, yeah? You see smile again, he is.
The sort of reaction that the cult leader Bray got when he returned a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, everyone loves it, don't they?
Yeah, it's just...
I'm going to say best, me.
Yeah, I think this has got to go in the best. And it's... I think Bray's going to be one of these people who sort of ends up a bit like Mick Foley later on. If he stays with WWE for, say, another 10 years, I reckon in about 5-6 years, we're going to end up with various iterations of Bray Wyatt creeping in. Sort of like Balor and the Demon, but Wyatt will just change himself up to whatever sort of fits and whatever he's needed for.
Yeah, that's the way he's going at the minute. I never saw that coming when he debuted the Firefly Fun House last year. I thought old cult leader Bray was gone. But wrestling's wacky as ever these days, and I'm all for it. So, speaking of the Firefly Fun House, I'm going to go with Firefly Fun House Bray now, and then we'll get to the Fiend after that. Where you put... Because I like the juxtaposition of a man... Well, essentially a children's TV presenter who wants to murder your children while he's presenting the TV. I like the juxtaposition of this warm character with his fuzzy jumper on and his pants on, and he comes in the ring with the Miz and Braun Strowman it was, and he's all sort of lovey-dovey, but then he can just take a heat off with a massive boot or something like that.
Yeah. It's like... just the jumper and everything, his hair tied back, he's very neatly kept. Like, it's... You're right, it's the juxtaposition of this nice... like what seems to be this nice character with this really sinister background, and it's sort of like you're seeing his psyche behind him with it, and it's all just like there, and it's all a complete package. I think Funhouse Bray is still good when you take him out of there, but I think that room is as much a part of his attire as what he's wearing. So I think when you collect this as a package, as I said, Bray Wyatt gets a lot worse before it gets better, because it starts strong, then it dips, and then we get this, and it's like amazing. And so, yeah, I think this has got to be top of lovely, lovely, bottom of the best. It's got to be.
I would say top of lovely, lovely. Oh no, I'm going to go the best, because what you said there about the Funhouse being part of the attire, that's absolutely spot on, isn't it? The house itself is part of the
Because when you took him out of it, it's just weird, because he's like, and he's all nice, and it's all fine, but he doesn't seem to have any power when he's not in that Funhouse and he's that guy. He doesn't seem to be able to get anything done. So it's like maybe that it is part of who he is.
And yeah, just before we move on, I think it was the sort of... They took a lot away when they had that backstage bit where Seth Rollins just walked into the Funhouse.
Yeah.
That should never have happened. No other superstar, unless Bray invited them in like he did with John Cena at WrestleMania, nobody's just walk on as if it's a backstage set.
The other thing that really irritated me about that whole thing with Rollins as well was that Bray dragged Bryan down into like hell and into like his weird twisted world under the ring, removed his hair, all of this stuff. Rollins, like it was the week before or a month before or something, Rollins was like pulled down into a hole in the ring. It seemed like the cues were all off, because sound kept coming on and going off, lights were on and then they'd go off, and it didn't feel like it was quite coordinated right. It felt a bit like, oh, was that supposed to come on? Oh no, it wasn't. Take it off. I'll put it back on, and it was all a bit weird. But Rollins gets pulled all the way down and then just crawled straight back out, and it was like, okay, so you've just neutered the Fiend. Like he can't drag this guy who's half his size just under the ring. Like, I don't know, that annoyed me. So I was so happy when that was quickly just and we moved on. But yeah.
But the Funhouse being part of the attires, I've not looked at that way before, so thank you for opening my eyes, Sam.
Nice.
But then we're moving on to the Fiend. And I was on Twitter earlier this week, Sam, saying the Butcher from AEW has the best look in pro wrestling today. And someone naturally replied with the Fiend's mask. And then someone replied to that saying, unpopular opinion, the Fiend looks goofy. And it got a fair few likes, I should say.
Whoa.
I never thought of that before. I think this looks amazing.
When I first saw it, I remember I was like, this is so cool, but at the same time, like my mates who don't watch wrestling, because they know what I do, they'll dip in and out, and whenever it's like trending, they might like message me going like, like what's this, or like this is cool. And when Wyatt was unveiled, it was like the Fiend was unveiled and everything. They were sort of like, that mask's like proper like cheap Halloweeny. It was like weird. I was like, I sort of had that opinion until I saw it, and then I was like, when I got the package and the deadlights and everything, like, and I was able to sit and digest it, watch it a few times. I was like, all right, I get it now. But I was in the camp initially that it looked a bit goofy, but now I couldn't imagine it looking any other way.
Yeah.
The title was goofy for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the title.
No, that was bad. But he shouldn't have the belt in the first place. So
No, he shouldn't. That's a different discussion for another day. The Fiend, is it alongside Cult and Firefly Fun House Bray in the best?
I'd say it's top of lovely for now. I think that Firefly Funhouse Bray is better than the Fiend because there's more range out of Firefly Funhouse Bray, whereas the Fiend is very one-dimensional. The Fiend's there to do one job, and it's cool. It's a very cool attire, but I don't know. I like the sinister, like just wearing nice clothes, and he's like cracking away behind the mask.
I don't think I can agree with this because of the severed head.
Oh. Forgot all about the severed head. That was really cool. Yeah,
that's exclusive to the Fiend, isn't it?
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I'll go with you. I'd say chuck him up. Go on.
We'll go in the best. So there we have it. All three versions of Bray Wyatt are in the best, but we're moving back. Well, moving everywhere. We're everywhere. These two, the Dudley Boyz. Specifically, the picture here has them in their camouflage attire.
Yeah.
Although we might as well discuss about the tie-dye. I was never a fan of Bubba Ray in shorts. Never ever a fan of Bubba Ray in shorts. Never thought it looked right. But where are we going for the camouflage gear?
I love the camo gear. And it's the Dudleys, man. It's our childhood. It's an iconic look. The glasses with the tape, the camo. Everything about it, it's simplicity. Simplicity is best, and this is exactly what it is. They're just there to just smash things up,
break a few tables.
Yeah.
Where are we going then? Best, lovely.
Lovely. I think
we'll go in lovely. Why the hell not?
Because the Dudleys are more about themselves rather than their gimmick. They're they're one of those. They're not like a big character. They're just sort of very. We're here to break stuff and have fun.
And then we're moving on to someone we've not seen for quite some time. We're moving on to the Demon, Finn Balor. We can go on about the flaws in the character, how he would, challenge Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at the Royal Rumble, not use the unbeatable Demon, who did get beaten by Samoa Joe, but shush! But then he would go on to WrestleMania to face Baron... Was it Corbin?
I can't
remember. No, it wasn't Corbin. It was Bobby Lashley. He would go on and face Bobby Lashley in a nothing match at WrestleMania, and he would bring out the Demon. Made no sense to me, that. But the look of the Demon is absolutely sensational. I would love to be somewhere in Japan when he started doing the all-over body paint and having that idea. Whoever had that idea to do that first, having that sort of creativity.
Yeah.
Imagine living your life with that sort of talent in your head.
It's just cool, isn't it? Like everything about it's great. The only thing I don't like about it is the little hat. The hat's the only thing where I'm like, it just looks a little bit goofy, but at the same time, you don't really stare at the hat because he's so captivating. You just sort of take it all in, and he's done the different variations, like for different takeovers. He's done different things, which has been cool as well. But is it top tier though?
I think it is.
Yeah. I'd say top of lovely, or bottom of the best. But the only other thing that irks me about the character of the Demon is that he'll go into matches and challenge, and it's the Demon. It's like, oh no, we can't beat the Demon, and he has the exact same moveset as Finn Balor. So you do your match research, regardless, it'll be fine. But I think in terms of the look, one of the top two tiers. I'm going to leave it to you.
I've got the top tier because the intricacy of the body paint is unbelievable.
It's got to be like airbrushed on or something because it is proper like detail.
And it stays on largely. It stays on its body, doesn't it? It's not like Sting where it would just like disappear off his head in
like a scratch
5 minutes.
He'd take one bump and he'd come up with half his face out.
Then we're moving on to three lads who you might know, you might not know. You probably do know though. Once upon a time, Bull Buchanan and the Big Boss Man came together and had some children. They grew up to be Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns of The Shield.
It's another one where simplicity is just great. They debuted in those awful jumpers.
Thank God they didn't have those riot shields though.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
I'd heard,
imagine them walking through the crowd with those.
Is there a photo with a shield? It's an actual photo of them. I've heard of them. I've read up about it.
Perspex, big things with orange letters I think they've got on them. They're in the warehouse, the L warehouse. Big things like that. Imagine them walking through the crowd with that, like, oh, we're here, we're the Shield.
Banging on the front. It works so well because they're supposed to be like a group of mercenaries, I guess. Roman literally wears a bulletproof vest, protected at all times from every angle.
He's smart, isn't he? Like D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, it just everything fits the gimmick really well. It's like they just got some like SWAT team gear and that was it. If it had been anything more, like you said, with the Shield, or if it had been anything less, I don't think it would have been as good. But it's just the simplicity of the vests, all wearing like camo gear, like not camo gear,
SWAT team gear,
tactical gear. That's what I meant. Like they've got like all the pockets and zips and everything. It just looks cool.
What do you have sort of an opinion on? Obviously, Boss Man, Bull Buchanan used to wear it back in the day. These lads are basically doing the same thing.
Well, this is literally Boss Man's return, like late 90s, early 2000s, when Boss Man came back. This is what he was wearing. So it's pretty much the exact same thing. Bull Buchanan, I can't remember.
WrestleMania 2000, he was sort of Boss Man's lackey, and he used to just dress in the same thing.
Yeah.
Then they had children together.
Of course.
Whose womb they came out of, I have no idea. But then Seth Roman and Dean were born. They debuted, of course, when they were 11 years old, each of them. It's got to go in one of the top 2 tiers.
I'd say it's only Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
Why is that, Sam?
Because it's not... The Shield isn't like about the gear, it's about the dynamic. And if we're ranking attires, it's a cool attire, but it's something you could go to like a hunting shop and probably pick up yourself. It'll not have the WWE logos on it, and it'll cost about 1/5 of the price, but you can pick it up yourself.
And then we're moving on to big baldy bastard Baron Corbin, but specifically King Corbin, because when you win the King of the Ring in this day and age, you must become a king, because it worked with King Barrett, it worked with King Sheamus, it worked with... Well, it was actually quite good with King Regal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's forget about that, though. Just imagine, though, if Stone Cold Steve Austin started becoming a king when he won King of the Ring. What would have happened there, WWE?
Yeah.
Your most successful and biggest superstar of all time, potentially, arguably, would not have been that. So it's as simple as that. So we're going with King Corbin here, Sam. It's basic. It's outdated, in my opinion. We've moved on from this kind of crap. The gimmick itself for King Corbin has way outlasted sell-by date. It needs to go. What say you?
You've missed the entire point. You've missed the entire point of this gimmick. It's that everybody knows that this is an outdated crap gimmick. Look at the way they talk to him backstage. Look at the way they take the mick. Look at the way that they don't give him respect. That time Otis came and he picked up the crown and put it on. It was just thrown over a chair. He's the only person that puts any importance on this. He's the only person. He probably bought his own crown and his own cape and his own scepter. He's the only one. Everybody else thinks it's a joke. And it fits perfectly but it fits perfectly because Corbin is, as a character, that self-important. I think it's great simply because he thinks he's really cool and he thinks that he's this like big menacing king. And I love Corbin as a heel because he's so annoying. But like, I think it works for me so well because he's up there in all this elegant stuff. Realistically, all they need to do is hold another tournament. He's not going to win it, but he'll still cling to it, and he's still going to try and be king no matter what because he's in charge and he's going to lead the locker room and he's going to do this. Nobody cares about anything he's got to say but him, and that's what I love. That's why I think it works really well.
Honestly, he comes across as a monumental knobhead and it doesn't do anything for him.
That's the point.
No, it doesn't do it. It needs to do something for him as well.
It does.
In terms of our perception of him.
I don't know. I've been enjoying Corbin's, like... It's the only problem I'm having with it is that it's very repetitive, but I'm really enjoying his work as a heel, and I'm just hoping they can just do something. Just... Because that's a good catalyst would just be another King of the Ring tournament. Because he's got to now defend his throne. And I think if you threw that in, you might get some really good range out of him. But other than that, it's a bit outdated. But I think personally for me, I'm on board with it. So I'll leave this one at the mercy of you, because if it goes where I want it to go, people will probably like burn my house down.
No, but it's just in my head. Like, you look at Corbin, the man himself, and he's got the attire. He's like wears the long pants and the singlet and whatnot.
Yeah.
If that was just him, and he's got all the cool tattoos and whatnot, and he likes his heavy metal music, and he likes his weird stuff like collecting skulls.
Honestly,
and all that.
I genuinely would. I'd love to go for a pint with Baron Corbin. I think he'd be
I'd
great.
love to go around to Baron Corbin's for tea.
Are you seeing the barbecue, man?
Oh my
unbelievable.
God. I envy his cooking setup so
I'd
much.
let him
It's
bully
incredible.
me for being fat as long as I could eat some of that barbecue.
But I'm saying, like, the real life Baron Corbin is so interesting.
Yeah.
And yet he's lumbered with his bollocks. Just let the guy be himself,
that's
and
the
he'd be
weird
so
thing.
interesting.
One of the things that I was really fascinated about when they did like a little video, they were in Switzerland on a WWE like a house show loop, and he just went into this like master watchmakers and started talking in depth about watches, and it was like, this guy's
He owns
like
about 25,000 watches.
yeah,
like.
he's like proper knew everything. I was like, this is really cool. Like, why aren't they like? You couldn't have a watchmaker gimmick, but clearly the guy's like intelligent and a bit meticulous. You could surely dial this in, like, to his character
He's
a bit
just
more.
got such unique interests, and you could play that into a heel character so well by just him being so different, and as
give
well
him a
having like
watch
the rich
and have
the
somebody
rich thing.
smash it.
Yeah.
Done. Easy story.
But we're going for King Corbin here, not what could be with Baron Corbin himself. Where are you going? I don't want to put it in myself, but where are you going just with a King attire?
I'd say all right, but as I said, people will burn my house down, so I'll defer to you on this one.
I'll go all right, just because in terms of the King gimmick, it is the best King attire I think I've seen, with the furry cape and the cool black scepter and the black crown.
He's been the best King. You know, well, he's been an all right King. He's been far from the worst King we've ever had, and he might have been the best King we've had for some time. But yeah, I don't want to see him go at the bottom. But I think all right. Yeah, we get him all right.
Yeah, we'll leave him all right, alongside Demolition. And then we end with an age-old discussion, Sam. I am not a bitter old man who used to be a professional wrestler. I do not care that John Cena does not wear traditional wrestling boots. The discussion here, Sam, is jorts or no jorts. Where do you stand on the jorts?
The jorts are iconic now. If you go back and you look at his debut, or you go back and you look at any of his OVW stuff, when he's the prototype and he's wearing like trunks, and it's just not. I mean, Christ, you can see how muscly his legs are. Jesus, it's like looking at a cow sideways on. But like, it's just not Cena. Cena is iconic. The jorts, the merchandise, the positive messages, the bright colours. He's a license to print money. And the thing is, it all makes sense based on his character, because obviously he came from this weird like hip hop style background thing character wise, so he's not gonna be just wearing like, he doesn't want to dress like everybody else. He's not gonna dress like a dweeb and turn up with like wrestling gear on like Michael Cole. He's not gonna like invest too much time into it. If he's like into all that stuff, he's into brands, he's into looking good, and he's into fashionable clothing. And at the time, this was sort of fashionable. This was it, and he's just not changed the style since then. And I think a big part of that's because we are watching a TV show. You need to identify the characters, and the simplicity of this is John Cena. Anybody else wore jorts. In 10 years' time, somebody's wearing jorts, it'll be Cena. Like, that's what people will be saying. Like, I think it's in... And God help me for saying this, I think it's possibly in the best.
Whoa!
Because
I'm going to leave this one completely up to you. It is iconic.
But it's like Hogan
with
with the t-shirt, this chair and the t-shirt, and the red and yellow, and Cena's just... It's when you say his name, you see it. You immediately see it. You know exactly how he's dressed. You know exactly how he looks. You know exactly where he's going to throw his cap and his armbands. Like, he's going to salute and he's going to do all this. Like, it's there. So I think it has to go in the best. I'm not a massive Cena lover. Nobody kick off. Like it's 2008 again or something. But like, it's, you know, I think this is iconic.
I just want to run through the tier below, Sam, just before we confirm this is where Cena's going.
Right.
Kane 2001, Phantom of the Opera Undertaker, Prince of Darkness Undertaker, Boneyard Undertaker, Booger Red Undertaker, normal Deadman Undertaker from 2004 onwards, 2012 Undertaker, WrestleMania 30 Triple H, Dudley Boyz and The Shield are all below jorts wearing John Cena.
Maybe knock him down one.
That's fair enough. There we have our tier rankings for a random assortment. Please, we might do that. We probably will do this again with some more of your favourite superstars.
Let us know if there's any we forgot. Tell them.
Yeah, we'll do it in the future. Don't worry about that. We'll get there. But as is tradition, Sam, we must find out who has the best attire out of these randomly picked superstars.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you the question: is the reverse attire Kane better than original Kane?
No.
Is original Undertaker better than original Kane?
Yes. No.
Big shot.
No.
No.
No, it's not.
Is New Generation Purple Highlights Undertaker better than original Kane?
Yes.
Wow. Is Ministry of Darkness Undertaker better than New Generation Purple Highlights Undertaker?
Yes. But then Kane goes up one then. Kane has to stay at number 2 there.
Kane's number 2. Is Rey Mysterio better than Ministry Undertaker?
No.
Ric Flair's robes better than Ministry Undertaker?
That has to be a yes because it's Ric Flair, right?
He's gone for it. The robes are in that number 1, sorry. Do we have Sting above Ric Flair?
No.
Do we have Macho Man Randy Savage above Ric Flair's robes?
Yes.
Woohoo! Do we have the Road Warriors above Macho Man Randy Savage?
Oh,
This is tense.
this one's hard. I like big hosses personally. I'd say yes, but at the same time, it's definitely not. It's definitely not.
I'll leave it where it is then,
Yeah.
Sam. Macho Man remains. Is Goldust better than Macho Man?
No.
Is cult leader Bray Wyatt better than Macho
No.
Man? Firefly Fun House Bray?
No, but he's better than toward the back.
Is Fiend?
Ooh, he's up there, but he's not. He's not better.
And finally, Demon Balor. Is he better than Macho Man Randy Savage's attires from Through the Airs?
No.
So there we have it. The best out of these randomly picked superstars. Don't worry, we'll come back to this topic again. Is Macho Man Randy Savage?
Real quick, where would you put Jesse Ventura?
Jesse Ventura in terms of the tie-dye?
He was like, you know, when he was proper like overly elegant and he had all the crazy like jewellery and stuff and...
Oh, and he had Hogan's sort of hair as well?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because he was a very, very like fashionable man for the time.
Yeah. That might be a discussion for the next attires tier list. I don't know about you. Yeah, that's an undersung hero in terms of wrestling attires, though.
Maybe that's what we do. Maybe
about.
when we come back to attires, we'll do by era, maybe, or something. Yeah.
Jesse Ventura's got to be in the conversation because he was slightly before Macho Man, obviously.
Yeah, but everybody was nicking it off Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah. So there we have it. Any more closing thoughts?
No, I've really enjoyed this one. I hope everybody at home does too.
I love attires, me. I don't know if it just comes from my love of football kits. I love a good football kit, so I love a good wrestling attire.
I think part of it, it's the ultimate pageantry aspect of wrestling, though, as well, isn't it? Like, Steph's been putting on RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's like the parallels with wrestling. God. The parallels with wrestling, they go a lot more deep, but the attire is like the focus on that. It's so wrestling, it hurts. Drag
Race is just wrestling.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot as well with my lass, and oh god, the parallels are endless. Bloody hell. What's she called? The best? I can't remember what her name was. Someone, I've forgotten completely. Let's end the video. I have been Gary U2 from Cultaholic. There's one of them, a famous one. She's the best drag queen ever. I can't remember what her name is. Bloody hell. Yes!
Right.
Is that the favourite one in your household as well?
I believe so, yes.
She could be a pro wrestling manager.
Yeah, oh, for sure. For sure. Like, take it back to Cornette era, 110%.
The bars, she could spit at folk and just, rip the carpet from underneath their feet before they've even wrestled.
Yeah.
Unbelievable scenes. Bianca Del Rio, get her involved in the wrestling somehow. WWE. So there we have it. This is over now. Macho Man's the best out of this randomly selected selection of superstars. Make of that what you will. I've been Gary YouTube. He's been Gary YouTube. And we'll see you next time on these tier ranking malarkey thingies. Wave at the camera.
Tatty bye.
Bye.